President, please be seated. The court is now back in session. We would like now to hand over to the prosecution. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. We were looking at document E3/275, which contains the April 1976 speech given by Khieu Samphan as chairman of the State Presidium. And I will read a couple of paragraphs which are again relevant to consideration of Khieu Samphan's endorsement and support for the policies that Your Honours are considering. The next passage is at ERN 00167-632, as I indicated at the moment, only available in English. He states the following, quote, "At present, our people, workers, peasants and revolutionary army themselves determine their own destiny entirely independently. No imperialism, colonialism or oppressive reactionary classes can determine the destiny of our people, workers, peasants and revolutionary army. Our entire nation has clearly and forever written with its own fresh blood a new and brilliant page of history for our race and for coming generations. Nothing can erase or make us forget it. The dark past can never return." A little bit further down, he says, "The victory that our people, workers and peasants of this era have scored over the most ferocious and the most inhumane US imperialists is even more brilliant and splendid than the Angkor Temple." He then goes on to discuss the state institutions which were established, and so I will not read those passages because they're similar to the earlier speech that we looked at dealing with the Constitution. The next passage that I will read is at ERN 00167-636, and this really looks to the future and the tasks before the people. Quote, "Following the liberation, that is from 17 April 1975 to the present, our advance was made with an equally incredible speed. In just 1 year, we achieved in all aspects as much as one would in 10 years. Our advance is of course rapid, but we still have so much to do and our road is still long. For example, we still have the task of implementing our democratic Cambodian constitution correctly, thoroughly, perfectly and steadily, the task of always maintaining the spirit of revolutionary vigilance to protect and preserve our country as a whole." This speech was delivered in April 1976. Moving forward in time, Your Honours, the next document is a speech delivered in August 1976, this time at the 5th Summit Conference of the Non-Aligned Countries held in Colombo, Sri Lanka, on the 16th to the 19th of August 1976. The E number is E3/549. We have the English and Khmer versions in full. There is a partial French translation. We have requested for the rest to be translated. This is a speech given at an international forum, and yet again, the speech endorses some of the policies of the leadership of the Communist Party of Kampuchea. And I will read a couple of passages to illustrate. At Khmer ERN 000-65900 and English ERN 00644938239, he deals with the challenges experienced by the new government of Cambodia and the alleged subversive enemy activities that give rise to some of those challenges. He says the following, quote, "Besides, the enemy still carried on its attempt to destroy the results of the victory of our people, as shown by the affair of Mayagas in May 1975 and the bombing of the city of Siem Reap in February 1976. In spite of that, we have overcome all our obstacles, undertaken actively our production work based mainly on the principle of self-reliance. Since liberation, we have succeeded in solving the living conditions of our people. Particularly, we have solved the problem of food." And towards the end of that rather long paragraph, he says the following, "Nevertheless, we constantly have to strengthen our revolutionary vigilance, for our innumerable experiences have taught us that the enemy would never give up their dark schemes to destroy our revolution." Again, Your Honours, there was a reference there to the bombing of the city of Siem Reap in February 1976, and as I indicated earlier, that event is dealt with in the Office 870 directive, where it is described in very similar terms to those we just heard. And that directive, again for the record, was document E3/1173. The next document is a record of an interview which Khieu Samphan gave during his attendance at the conference in Colombo. And it is document E3/608. This document is available in all three languages. It is entitled Khieu Samphan Interviewed on Executions, National Problems. It is a publication, or rather a transcript of a publication, that originated in Italy. And the title of the original publication was Familia Christiana, I believe. And this was published on the 26th of September 1976. The document is relevant because it contains Khieu Samphan's responses to allegations in September 1976 of mass crimes being committed in Cambodia. And looking at Khmer ERN 00635-928, French 00632-566, and English 00419-841. The interview has the following section. Question. Mr. Chairman, what is the present situation in Cambodia? Answer. Democratic Cambodia is facing one of the most difficult periods of its history. The present situation derives from the fact that ours is a small country that has had to go through a 5-year war against an enemy whose strength was immensely greater from any point of view. In a situation such as this, everyone must work if the country's problems are to be resolved. This means everyone without distinction and as soon as they are able to do so. Question. According to some news accounts, 600,000 Cambodians lost their lives during the war. Another 800,000 perished after the war. The allegation is that this latter group comprises individuals who have been suppressed by the Khmer Rouge for political reasons. Is there any truth to these rumours? Answer. Cambodians who lost their lives during the war number more than 1 million. The story of massacres, which is being publicised by sections of the Western press at regular intervals, is a disgraceful slander spread by traitors who have fled democratic Cambodia. Now, many of those Cambodians who had fled to France have returned to their country willingly. Question. Have you conducted regular proceedings against war criminals, or have you quickly liquidated those who were unable to escape from Cambodia? Answer. Why must we always talk about these things? The criminals had committed such crimes against democratic Cambodia that they deserved the most vigorous abhorrence. After all, this is what the people wanted. I wish to be very emphatic about this. The revolutionaries are no assassins. Question. Mr. Chairman, please extend me the courtesy of answering my question. Answer. Those traitors who remained in democratic Cambodia have been executed. Question. What is the present population of Cambodia? Answer. The present population of democratic Cambodia is 5 million. Question. At the start of the war, there were 7 million people living in Cambodia. If 1 million died in the war, what happened to the rest? Answer. It's incredible how you Westerners care about what happens to war criminals. In any case, if you want an accurate account, you must consider the number of Cambodians who have left for Thailand, France, the United States, and other countries. And finally, before we leave this document, a passage at Khmer ERN 00635-931, French 00632-567, and English 00419-843. Question. How is it possible for a people as traditionally individualistic as the Cambodian people to accept a system of government that reduces everyone to the same level? Answer. We have just emerged from a war that destroyed 3/4 of the country, a war that was provoked by capitalist imperialism. In such a situation, the question of individualism would be an inconceivable luxury. Question. The Cambodian people have always been very religious. Does the new government respect freedom of religion? Answer. The new constitution respects freedom of religion as it respects all other beliefs. Of course, this does not imply respect also for some old privileges enjoyed by the religious class or by others. Just like everyone else, even Buddhist monks have the duty and obligation to work. That concludes the speeches given in 1976. Now, as we move into 1977, Your Honours, we'd like to play another video recording and this is contained in D295/2/2.65R. It apparently dates from late 1977, and it is footage of a state visit by the Laotian President Suparnavong. And in the video, as far as we can ascertain, present are Khieu Samphan, Nuon Chia, Yengseri and Vaughan Vet, as Your Honours are aware, another member of the Standing Committee. We have 6 segments prepared with the AV unit, and they will be played back-to-back, Your Honours, with your permission. So, Mr. President, if you permit, we would now play videos in the AV units table, videos C1, 2, 3, 5, 7 and 13.
The President, you may proceed. AV assistant, please play the video clip as per the request by the co-prosecutor.
The relevance of that video, Your Honours, of course, is not only that it contains footage of Khieu Samphan performing his functions as head of state of Democratic Kampuchea, but also that it has him travelling around the country and inspecting cadre at various sites. We're now in 1977, and the next speech that is available in the case file was given by Khieu Samphan is the 1977 anniversary speech. This is contained in E3/201. And it was a speech delivered on the 15th of April 1977. As we will see, this speech deals with a number of relevant topics, including the need to maintain vigilance and fight against the enemy, the allocation by the central authorities of food rations throughout the country, the recognition of large labour sites with tens of thousands of workers, and also other relevant matters such as the schooling under Democratic Kampuchea. We will start at Khmer ERN 00292-804 to 805, French ERN 00612-166, and the English ERN is not available to me at present. It is on the second page of this document. My printed copy does not seem to have ERNs, but I will supply it immediately after the break. The first passage is as follows. Quote, "Immediately after liberation, when we suffered untold difficulties as we had just emerged from the devastating US imperialists' war, the enemy failed to cause us any serious trouble. Today, the enemy certainly cannot do us any harm. This is our firm belief, stemming from concrete, practical evidence. However, we must carry on the task of defending our democratic Cambodia, protect our worker-peasant administration, and preserving the fruits of our Cambodian revolution by resolutely suppressing all categories of enemies, preventing them from committing aggression, interference, or subversion against us. We must wipe out the enemy in our capacity as masters of the situation, following the lines of domestic policy, foreign policy, and military policy of our revolutionary organisation. Everything must be done neatly and thoroughly. We must not become absent-minded, careless, or forgetful because of past victories. On the contrary, we must further steel ourselves, remain alert, constantly maintain the spirit of revolutionary vigilance, and continue to fight and suppress all stripes of enemy at all times." I've just been handed the English ERN for this passage. It is 00004165. The next passage deals with the issue of food, and it states, quote, "In 1976, we managed to solve our problems and fulfill the production plan. As a result, we harvested a good crop for 1977. Now we can feed our people a sufficient ration allocated by the state. We even have a surplus of grain for export. the relevance there, of course, is the recognition that food rations are allocated by the state. The next passage is a few paragraphs down at Khmer ERN 00292-807, French 00612-167. And it deals with the work sites that are found in Cambodia. Therefore, we can see that our countryside is undergoing tremendous changes. Each construction site of a reservoir, canal or dam is manned by as many as 10,000, 20,000 or even 30,000 workers. For this reason, the work progresses quickly. In the next paragraph, have these achievements been made possible by machines? No, we have no machines. We do everything by mainly relying on the strength of our people. We work completely self-reliantly. This shows the overwhelming heroism of our people. This also shows the great forces of our people. Though bare-handed, they can do everything. Now, 3 paragraphs down from that passage, he says the following: what changes have been brought to the daily life of our people? The people's living conditions are directly related to the national defence of democratic Cambodia, to all endeavours aimed at consolidating and expanding our worker-peasant administration, and to our nation-building efforts. Our country has a small population, making it necessary for us rapidly to strengthen and expand our population, protect the existing forces, feed the existing forces, and expand new forces. This is the political line dictated by our revolutionary organisation. Therefore, we must nurture our people. A sufficient amount of 3, 2.5, or 2 small tin cans of rice is allocated daily. Moreover, there is dessert. In the past, how many times did the poor and lower middle peasants eat sweet foods per month? Very rarely. They could afford only green guava and other fruits. On average, they now eat dessert 3 times a month, which is sufficient to take care of their health and fatten them up. The next passage is at Khmer ERN 00292-811, French 00612-170, effectively the next page in English, from the last page we were reading. Quote, therefore, our goal is to work, serve the nation-building movement, and learn technical skills at the same time. Whether the dams and reservoirs that we have built last only 5 or 10 years does not matter. In the 5 or 10 years to come, we shall be much more developed, richer, and more experienced than we are now, and we will grasp many more technical skills than we do now. And he then goes on to close the speech by referring to the need to continue to uphold revolutionary vigilance. This is 1 page down from the passages I just read. He says, quote, we should be proud of our past successes, but we should not become reckless, careless, and forgetful because of these achievements. We must, by contrast, become more humble, alert, and careful, and respect and follow every line of our revolutionary organisation more steadily. If we can do this resolutely, we shall certainly succeed in further strengthening and expanding our successes. We must uphold our spirit of revolutionary vigilance at all times against the enemy from all quarters, both at home and abroad, to defend democratic Cambodia, protect the worker-peasant administration, and preserve the fruits of our revolution resolutely and permanently. The next public announcement or speech that Khieu Samphan gave and that we have available on the file is found in document D108/28.123, and currently it has not been allocated an E3 number. It is a statement delivered by Khieu Samphan on the 30th of December 1977, and it is essentially a statement on the break of relations with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The relevance of this speech is that it contains discussion of alleged Vietnamese subversive activities in Cambodia and attempts to stage coup d'etat, which, as Your Honours are aware, are a recurring theme in the statements of the leadership, particularly when it comes to the policy with respect to enemies. The passages I wish to refer to begin at Khmer ERN 00229017, French ERN 00345-466, and English 00166065. Here, Khieu Samphan discusses the armed clashes between the Vietnamese forces and Cambodian forces in late 1977, and he goes on to consider the reasons for these clashes and the alleged aggression by Vietnamese forces. He says the following, quote, "What are the causes which led the SRV armed forces to carry out this aggression, destruction and plunder in the territory of democratic Cambodia and against the innocent Cambodian people? According to the true and innumerable proofs and according to Vietnam's strategic basis, the causes are as follows. The immediate reason is that the aggressive SRV armed forces have carried out such acts of violation and aggression against the Cambodian territory in order to plunder rice and livestock from the Cambodian people to help solve their hunger problem." 2 paragraphs down, quote, "But the basic cause is the fact that the SRV for a long time has held the strategic aim to include Cambodia as a member of the Vietnamese-dominated Indo-Chinese Federation. Adhering to this strategic basis, the SRV for many years has carried out activities to exert pressure, force and provoke Cambodia in order to prevent Cambodia from existing in independence and sovereignty. In the next paragraph, which is numbered 3, the following passage occurs. Because of Cambodia's correct stance, the SRV has carried out many manoeuvres and committed several criminal acts, including inciting a handful of Cambodian traitors to create a new party as its tool in order to destroy the KCP, the Cambodian Communist Party. And when they set up their sanctuaries in Cambodian territory since 1965, and especially in the period following the 18 March 1970 coup d'etat, the SRV secretly appointed a group of evil men and turned them into a special Cambodian army as its instrument on Cambodian soil, creating a special Cambodian state administration to oppose and attack the Cambodian revolutionary state power under the KCP's leadership, to divide and destroy the Cambodian Revolutionary Army, and so forth. However, these plans of Vietnam were successively defeated by the Cambodian people and Cambodian Revolutionary Army from 1965 to 1975. 3 paragraphs down, he looks at 1975 and 1976. This is a Khmer ERN 00229020, French 00345-468, and English 00166-067. It's a brief passage but relevant. Quote, in 1975 and 1976, Vietnam continually conducted aggression and carried out criminal activities in an attempt to stage a coup d'etat, overturning democratic Cambodia through a handful of traitorous forces which were Vietnam's agents. Part of the relevance of this particular speech, Your Honours, is that the confessions of Vietnamese soldiers which were broadcast in this period and which we have put before you in previous hearings contain similar allegations against Vietnam, allegations of subversion and attempts to effect a coup d'etat against the communist leadership in Cambodia. The final speech that we would look at is the 1978 anniversary speech delivered by Khieu Samphan, and this is found in document E3/169. It is also contained in E3/562. I will be reading initially from E3/169. It is a speech delivered by Comrade Khieu Samphan, Chairman of the State Presidium of Democratic Kampuchea, at the mass meeting held on the occasion of the 3rd anniversary of the grandiose victory of 17 April and the founding of Democratic Kampuchea. The speech is relevant because it contains, again, endorsements of and support for the policies of the Communist Party leadership. The speech opens with a discussion of the grandiose victory of the 17th of April. And I'll read one illustrative passage found at Khmer ERN S 00704-515, French S 00004802, and English 00280-389. And the passage is as follows, quote, now our working class, peasantry and the revolutionary army are complete masters of their own destiny, which they enjoy in all independence and sovereignty. No imperialist, no colonialist, and no class of exploiters and reactionary forces can again decide the destiny of our working class, our peasantry, and our revolutionary army of Kampuchea. The honour and dignity of the working class and the peasantry of Kampuchea that have been dragged in the mud for thousands of years have been brilliantly restored. The dark era is now a thing of the past and will never resurface again. The next passage again returns to the theme of alleged Vietnamese subversive activities and the concern of the leadership with those activities. Khmer ERN S00704-517, French S00004803, and English 00280-391. Quote, concerning the eastern border, fighting between us and Vietnam is fierce and persistent because Vietnam is devoured by the sinister ambition to annex Kampuchean territory according to its plan of the, quote, Indo-Chinese Federation, end quote, which it is obstinately implementing. This year, fighting has been fiercer than last year, the reason being that Vietnam's tactics to annex Kampuchea, especially its subversive spying, infiltration activities, and coup attempts to overthrow the Communist Party of Kampuchea and the government of Democratic Kampuchea, have all been woefully defeated. The next passage I wish to read calls on the army to eradicate the Vietnamese invader. It is a Khmer ERN S00704-519, French S00004804, and English 00280-392. It is a single long sentence that reads as follows. We are all determined to draw inspiration from the noble and sublime revolutionary heroism of our revolutionary army by always raising higher and rendering as solid as steel our revolutionary patriotism and our revolutionary pride in our nation, our people, our revolutionary army, our revolution, and our party, by resolutely placing the interests of the nation, the class, the people, and the revolution above personal and family interests, and mobilizing all our efforts to accomplish all the tasks entrusted to each of us by the party, and contributing through our daily activities to radically eliminate forever from the territory of Kampuchea all enemy aggressors, especially Vietnam, the aggressor, eager to grab and annex our territory. The next passages deal with the importance of political indoctrination, or importance of a teaching of politics to the cadre in the revolutionary movement. And it also relates to the notion that democratic Kampuchea is a democratic state. Khmer ERN S00704-522, French S00004806, and English 00280-395. Quote, must we learn technology and science? Certainly, but we should specify that we do not study technology, that is not embedded in nation building. Technical studies are closely linked to practice and production. By so doing, we intend to build an independent economy. We want to reinforce our present position to have an independent economy, which we intend to consolidate and develop in the future. That is the way to proceed, which is both appropriate and scientific. In the next paragraph, he says the following: "It is by so doing that all the masses can acquire knowledge and take control of their lives, of their own state authority, which is not the state authority in the hands of a handful of individuals, as it was the case in the previous regime. All the people are masters of the country, the masters of the state authority, hold the destiny of the country in their hands, and actively participate in nation building. Such power is therefore very solid. We train our political and technical cadre in the revolutionary movement. We are therefore sure to continue to train them as we go along. If we trained our cadre only in schools, detached from the revolutionary movement of the masses, we would not be able to meet the needs of this revolutionary movement." Two paragraphs down, he returns to the theme of imperialists and expansionists. Quote, "Over the past year, our people's revolutionary forces have considerably developed and grown in strength. Our people have relentlessly fought to defend the country against imperialists, expansionists, annexationists, and reactionary forces of all sorts to lead the socialist revolution and boost production." The next paragraph, he says this: "At the same time, our people are increasingly satisfied with our socialist collectivist regime. They have become increasingly aware of the power of this regime, which can effectively defend and build the country by force and rapidly improve the people's standard of living in all independence and sovereignty, while relying on its own forces at the highest level." A little bit further down, Khmer ERN S007045525, French S00004807, and English 00280397. Quote, "The fact that we successfully defended our country by smashing the destructive activities of the American imperialists and their lackeys, the fact that we successfully shattered the destructive activities of the expansionists, annexationists, and reactionary forces of all sorts, especially the criminal acts of the aggressor, which wants to grab and annex our territory, and the fact that we have improved our economy within a short time span, rapidly build our country in every domain by leaps and bounds, and speedily raised our people's standard of living in total independence and sovereignty, while relying on our own forces at the highest level, led our friends from near and far, as well as people who love independence and justice the world over, to increasingly express their sympathy and to actively support us every day." He concludes this speech with a call for a consolidation of the victories and their further developments. He says the following: "We have to consolidate and develop these victories and continue to forge ahead. As such, we have to relentlessly pursue the struggle to accomplish the tasks of the party, everyone in his unit and domain. In concrete terms, first task, we must defend tooth and nail the country, the revolution, the power, the people, the army, the party, and the Kampuchean race. We can only succeed if we properly implement the party line in external as well as internal defence. All the units throughout the country must continue to increase their revolutionary vigilance. Earlier, Your Honours, I referred to another document which contains a transcript of this speech, and that was E3/562. E3/562. And the reason this second document is of interest and relevance is because it contains a number of resolutions that were adopted at this mass meeting where Khieu Samphan delivered the speech. And the list of resolutions is quite long, so I will quote briefly from it. And this is at Khmer ERN 00249-989 and French 00280-379 and English 000-10563. It states, in the field of national defence, the following resolution, under number 4, to expel resolutely from Cambodian territory and destroy forever all the expansionist, annexationist, Vietnamese aggressors. Number 5, to exterminate resolutely all agents of the expansionist, annexationist, Vietnamese aggressors from our units and from Cambodian territory forever. Number 6, to exterminate resolutely all CIA agents from our units and Cambodian territory forever. And lastly, I'll quote number 9, to enhance the moral, physical and mental strength of each individual, each unit and the nation as a whole, and maintain national unity in the struggle to exterminate the enemies of all stripes, particularly the expansionist, annexationist, Vietnamese enemy, in order to preserve the nation and the Cambodian race forever. Your Honours, those were the speeches that we wished to present today. I would now move on to the next topic, which deals with correspondence to Khieu Samphan by Amnesty International, in which concerns are raised about allegations of massacres in Cambodia. This may be an appropriate time to break.
The President. Yes, thank you. It is now appropriate time for lunch adjournment. The chamber will adjourn until 1:30 p.m. The court is adjourned.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ